Simply because we were licked 100 years before we started is no reason for us not to try to win. Atticus Finch.
One of the amazing things about this book is how the perspectives have changed over time. In the book, it talks about how inevitable it was for the prosecution to win and how Mr. Finch was really, he had lost before he started. One of the things I know as a prosecutor in my day job is that our job isn't to just win cases. Our job is to try to do justice, and there's probably no better example of a case where there was an injustice done than To Kill a Mockingbird.
There are social issues that are all throughout this book. There's political issues, there's social issues, there's criminal justice issues. From an attorney's perspective, it's interesting to see how the system was then, how unfair it was at the time, and how much better things are today.
Decades after its initial publication, Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, is still making changes in society.
I think the reason that the character has so much resonance, as you said, not just for attorneys, but also for people who are non-attorneys, is because he emanates integrity. Not just in terms of how he behaved in the courtroom, but how he behaved with members of the black community at that time, but also with his family. So I think he's taken on sort of a larger-than-life context of being representative of just being a good, decent gentleman and a human being.
The Orange County Regional History Center presented a critical analysis of the jury's verdict in the trial of Tom Robinson.
So most folks in the audience tonight will be teachers from around Orange County, and it's important for them to be here to learn this because they're going to take what they learn here tonight back to the classroom. And that's part of our mission here at the Orange County Regional History Center, is to give teachers the tools they need to go and teach our young people about our history. We picked this setting because it is the historic 1927 courtroom here at the Regional History Center, and it's era appropriate for this trial. This courtroom would have been first used at about the same time that the To Kill a Mockingbird trial would have been set.
I think 50 years later, there's still obviously some prejudice and some racism that exists. I'm grateful it's not as pervasive as it was, and I think it's good for everyone to see a little historical perspective on everything.
When you read it, you create such a connection with characters, and Atticus Finch was such an amazing character in literature, and so of course I'm rooting for Atticus Finch, even though I know how it ended in the novel.
Judge Taylor knew, people generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for. Would generations of societal change and more than 50 years of hindsight deliver a different verdict? After revisiting the book's controversial themes and hearing the closing arguments, a modern jury issued their own verdict. Even today, the world seen through the eyes of a child can really inspire us and challenge us to be the change in the world.
With an adult, you already have so much experience and you've already formed so many opinions and biases. And through the eyes of Scout, she has that innocence and that purity and learns so much through the experience, whereas an adult would experience it, but maybe not as openly as Scout did. So seeing it from her point of view changes it dramatically.
And I know that the book and other things inspired me to eventually go on and decide to practice law. And I had an opportunity in terms of preparing for this event tonight to watch some of the movie, in particular the courtroom scene with my own son, who was 10. And I can tell you that afterwards he told me that he wanted to be an attorney. So I consider that progress because just a few days before he said he wanted to be a superhero.
The beauty of today is that I see our kids in our schools and they don't think so much in terms of black and white anymore. So I think to them it's almost like a foreign concept to think, why would someone be treated differently because they're black? So it almost has sort of a double shock effect today, and the book is wonderful because we can't forget that past. We don't ever want to relive something like that going into the future.
For more information about programs and special events at the Orange County Regional History Center, please visit their website, thehistorycenter.org.